Welcome back to AI Podcast. We're continuing our three-part series on AI music creation.
Uh-huh.
And tomorrow we'll be looking at some other AI music platforms.
Okay.
But today is all about AIVA, a platform that says, anyone can compose music,
Yeah.
even if you've never touched an instrument.
Yeah, that's a pretty big claim.
Right.
I mean, composing music has always been seen as this exclusive club for people who can read music and play an instrument.
Totally. But AIVA says they're going to change all that. So you're ready to kind of peek behind the curtain and see how it works?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So AIVA stands for Artificial Intelligence Virtual Artist. And basically it uses a massive data set of classical music scores to learn how to compose.
Oh, wow. So it's like sending AI to music school?
Yes.
With Beethoven and Bach?
Exactly. It analyzes these scores looking for patterns in melodies and harmonies and structure. But here's what's so cool. It doesn't just copy what it's learned.
Okay.
AIVA uses something called deep learning, specifically recurrent neural networks, to actually understand those underlying principles of music composition.
So it's not just mimicking, it's understanding the rules.
Right. And that lets AIVA go beyond classical music
Okay.
and create in all sorts of genres like pop, rock, jazz, even film scores.
Oh, wow. So it's like a multi-genre composer in your pocket.
Totally. And here's another crazy thing. AIVA is always learning and evolving.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As people are using the platform creating music,
Sure.
AIVA is analyzing those choices, their edits, their preferences, and using all that data to refine its own understanding of composition.
So it's like getting smarter and smarter as more people use it.
It is, yeah.
Like more creative.
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
Can AI be truly creative?
Right.
Maybe we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, that's a whole other
podcast.
Yeah.
But for now, let's talk about how you, the listener, can use AIVA to make music.
Oh, okay, too.
And you know what? You don't need a fancy music degree to get started.
Awesome.
One of the things that makes AIVA so appealing is its user-friendly interface. It's designed to be really intuitive, even for beginners.
So it's like using a music app on your phone.
Totally.
Okay.
So let's say you want to create a piece of music. You start by choosing a style, right? Do you want a classical piano piece, a catchy pop tune, a dramatic film score, or maybe something else entirely?
Yeah, it's like browsing a musical buffet.
Yeah. Once you've picked your style, you can get even more specific with the mood and emotion.
Okay.
Happy, sad, suspenseful, romantic, epic. You can set the emotional tone of your music.
So you don't need to know music theory to evoke a specific feeling.
You don't. And then it's all about the details. You can choose the length, the tempo, the key signature, the time signature, and even the instruments you want to use. So even if you don't know what a time signature is,
Right.
you can still create something that sounds awesome.
That's amazing.
AIVA handles all the technical stuff behind the scenes.
That's so cool.
It's like having a virtual band at your command, ready to play anything.
So what if you were more musically inclined? They got you covered too, right?
Yeah. For the more experienced musicians, there are tons of advanced customization options. You can dive into chord progressions and melodic complexity, harmonic density, all that nitty-gritty stuff that gives your music that unique flavor.
Okay, cool. So it's great for beginners and experts.
Totally.
Very cool. Very cool.
But enough about the tech specs for now. Let's hear what people are actually saying about AIVA, because user experience is key, right?
Absolutely. Does it live up to the hype?
Well, but what is the feedback like? What are people actually saying about it? Is it as good as it sounds?
Right. Does it live up to the hype?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is the feedback is kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Some people are absolutely raving about it. They're saying it's opened up a whole new world of creative possibilities for them, especially for people who always wanted to make music but didn't, have the traditional skills.
Yeah, like they never learned an instrument or
Right.
music theory or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's like that dream of anyone can be a musician is maybe becoming true.
Maybe.
Right. Like a lot of non-musicians are using AIVA to create music for their personal projects, like YouTube videos and indie games and stuff.
Oh, cool. So it's good for background music and stuff.
Yeah. And some music teachers are even using it as an educational tool
Oh, wow.
to help their students understand composition in a new way.
That's pretty cool. So it's not just making music creation accessible. It's actually helping to educate the next generation of musicians.
Yeah, it is. But of course, not everyone is totally on board the AIVA train.
Right. I mean, every new technology is going to have its critics.
Yeah.
So what are some of the criticisms that you've come across?
So some professional musicians have kind of raised concerns about the emotional depth of the AI-generated music.
Yeah.
They say that while AIVA can create technically sound compositions, it can sometimes lack that soul,
Mm.
that raw human emotion, that comes from lived experience.
I see. So it's like a robot perfectly reciting a Shakespearean sonnet versus like a human actor pouring their heart and soul into it.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, you can appreciate the technical skill, but it might not like move you in the same way.
Exactly. And that's, a debate that we're going to be having for years to come, right?
Yeah.
Can AI truly replicate human emotion?
Right?
Yeah. So what are some other drawbacks that
Yeah.
users mention? Some people have said that while AIVA is super powerful, it can be a little bit tricky to learn,
Okay.
especially when you get into those like advanced features.
That makes sense. It's like with any sophisticated software, there's
Sure.
that basic level that's easy to pick up, but like mastering all the bells and whistles takes time.
Yeah, exactly.
Effort.
And another thing people have said is that while AIVA has pretty good genre diversity, it could be broader.
Hmm.
Some users are hoping that they add more kind of new genres and expand their sonic palette.
Okay, so it sounds like AIVA is a work in progress,
Yeah,
constantly like evolving and responding to user feedback, which is actually pretty cool.
it is encouraging.
Yeah.
But speaking of, progress, how does AIVA stack up against some of the other AI music platforms out there?
Yeah, that's a good question because it is a competitive landscape now.
It is.
Like, what are some of the other big players?
So one that comes to mind is Amper Music,
Okay.
which is known for being really, really easy to use,
Mm-hmm.
and it focuses on modern genres,
Okay.
especially for like background music for videos and podcasts.
Oh, cool.
So if you need something quick and easy, Amper might be a good option.
Right?
And then there's MuseNet, which is developed by OpenAI.
Uh-huh.
Those are the ChatGPT people.
Oh, wow.
So MuseNet is much more experimental, and they really focus on pushing the boundaries of AI music creation
Okay.
and lets you blend all sorts of styles and create some really wild and unexpected compositions.
So that one's for the more adventurous music creators.
Yes. So where does AIVA fit in all of this?
Yeah.
It seems to be somewhere in the middle. It's easy enough for beginners,
Yeah.
but has enough depth and customization for the more experienced musicians.
So it's a good all-rounder.
Yeah. But you know where AIVA really shines?
Where's that?
Is in classical music composition. If you want to create a piece that sounds like it was written by like Bach or Mozart,
Okay.
AIVA is definitely worth trying out.
Cool. And of course, budget is always a factor.
Yeah.
So how does AIVA handle that?
So like a lot of online platforms, AIVA uses a freemium model.
Okay.
So they have a free plan that lets you try out the basic features.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some limitations,
Okay.
and the audio quality isn't as good.
So it's a good way to test the waters. See if it's a good fit for you.
Exactly. But if you want to unlock like the full potential, you'd have to go with a paid plan.
Right. Okay. And what are the perks of going premium?
So the paid plans unlock all the limitations of the free version.
Hmm.
You get higher quality audio, you get all the instruments and styles,
Okay.
all those advanced customization features we were talking about.
So you're basically removing the training wheels and like
Yeah.
getting full creative control.
Exactly. Plus, you get a commercial license.
Oh.
So you can actually use your music in like videos and podcasts,
Okay.
games, anything commercial.
That's a pretty big deal for anyone who wants to use AI music professionally.
Yeah, and so, some users think the price is totally justified, especially compared to hiring a real composer.
Right.
Others who maybe are on a tighter budget,
Yeah.
wish there were more affordable options.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it just comes down to weighing the pros and cons and
Yeah,
deciding if it aligns with your goals and your wallet.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us to like a much bigger question.
Uh,
Where does AIVA fit into the future of music? Is it
Mhm.
going to be like a game changer? Is it a fad?
Right. Is it just going to be a flash in the pan?
Or is it something in between?
Right.
That's a great question.
That is the million-dollar question.
And it's one we are going to try to tackle in the final part of our series on AI music creation.
Okay.
We'll be back tomorrow with more, so make sure to tune in.